afternoon YouTube, and welcome back to the channel, where today you join me in Matt's new car. Well, that should probably be a saying now, because every car of Matt's is new and he doesn't keep them very long. But today we are in a Toyota GT86, and not just any normal GT86, a Litchfield supercharged one. So stay with us on this one where we see what it's all about. So I probably should rewind a little bit. Matt's been after one of these for a long time, and I'm sure he'll chuckle when he watches this review, because we spoke about how the intro would begin. And essentially, many years ago, I was in my E46 M3 going around Cheddar Gorge, for those that know, not too far from Bristol in the UK, lovely little part of the world, and a little GT86 was in front of me, and I could not believe when we actually joined a straight how slow it was, and he looked like he was giving it absolute death, and I was like, what is wrong with that? It must be broken, surely. Like, I could see he was shifting quickly, he was trying, and obviously the E46 M3 is a much more powerful car, but with things like the little Clios that I've got, up to 80, 90, there's not normally a lot in it between them, so I was really surprised to see how slow it was. And then when I spoke to Matt about it, he said, yeah, they're about 180 horsepower, 1,250 kilos, not great power to weight. So for me, I'd never been interested in one, but Matt always had a soft spot for them. So why did Matt buy this one? Well, because it's got the supercharger on it. As we've said in many videos before, if you can buy a car that's already had the work done to it, you're going to save yourself an absolute fortune. This car with the Litchfield kit should be running between 270 and 280 horsepower and around 210, 220 foot-pounds of torque at the flywheel. So certainly not slow, which hopefully you'll be able to see today. So as we mentioned, roughly 270, 280 horsepower, flat 4 engine designed by Subaru. Occasionally, if you catch it at low revs, it does have a Subaru sound to it, that burble. I doubt we'll be able to pick it up on the camera, but you can hear it just at the lower RPM, and then as soon as you get up top, it does disappear. A little straight, open it up, third gear, 5k. That's when it wakes up. Gets to about 5k and it really comes on song, which is nice. Really got to work for the power. Again, something you'll have seen in a lot of my other videos. I love a vehicle that you really have to work the engine for to get the best out of it, and this really does require you to keep it singing to get it moving. Now the gearbox, 6-speed manual, no auto versions available. Really nice gearbox to shift with. Dare I say it, pretty much in par with a lot of the stuff like this. The Mazda MX-5, very close to the S2000, so I'm sure you won't be disappointed with the actual feedback of the gear shift. It's got a few TRD touches externally and internally, and I'm not a fan of a leather gear knob. I prefer either like a billet or a nice solid feel to them, but for the options that's been spec'd on the car, it does drive really nicely. The gear changes are absolutely crisp, and it works really well with the engine. Now, standard internals on these, it's low boost, I believe about 5 psi, so you don't have to forge the internals. But what they do suggest is uprating the clutch, which Max has done. He's done an Exceedy clutch, I believe it is, on there, so it's good for the power. Now, when he bought it, it had a standard clutch, wasn't slipping, but just wanted to make sure that it was absolutely perfect. The interior, always a big talking point for me. Very Japanese, and I say that because it feels plasticky. It doesn't look high-end. Not to say it feels cheap, it just feels normal. The rev counter set in the middle has a sort of Porsche feel to it, but is more like a Mazda RX-8 that I've driven in the past, where you have the center rev counter and then the speedo and your gauges set back from the side. But not a bad place to be. The seats are nice and supportive. They're a good ride height as well. I don't feel I'm top of the car, which is really nice. Steering wheel's a nice size, and you could do the mileage in this. But again, I go back to this switch gear, where it does feel like it's come from something of the late 90s rather than a car of the 2010 onwards, unfortunately. it to the road. So suspension, we have got KW Variant 3 fully adjustable coilovers, and like on these roads here today, it really does go, really handles well. Paired with Michelin 4 tyres, and Matt's got a set of custom wheels that he had from Germany. I've completely forgotten the make of them, but I will list them in the description if you're interested. But it does look really nice, and it is really comfortable. It's not crashy, it's not bumpy, and as I've said when I reviewed the Öhlins on the M3, the KW Variant 3 was a strong contender for me, so certainly not a cheap kit and plenty of adjustability. Looks wise, on the exterior, obviously those alloys we mentioned, you've also got the fantastic looking TRD, little lip, little spoiler, the little in trim on the back. It really finishes the car off, especially compared to a standard one. And when you drop the ride height with those Variant 3 coilovers, you do end up increasing the camber and the toe a lot. Now the standard ones don't adjust enough, so Matt actually bought some uprated rose jointed units, so it's all fully adjustable camber and toe, and managed to dial it back, otherwise it will handle pretty badly. Braking, the previous owner simply fitted uprated discs and pads. Again, we don't know what they are, but it does stop relatively well. I don't know whether it would be suitable for track, haven't had any brake fade on the road, but you really got to sink that pedal to get the best from them. Do you know what? It is actually a really nice car to drive. The only thing, like I say, as I've said before, is the interior lets it down a little bit, but you really work for the power. You could do the miles in this. There's certainly no issues with that. It's a comfortable place to be. And as I said, the seats are nice and supportive. I don't feel the need to change them. And you could, like I say, go up and down the motorway and then take it out for a weekend blast if you really wanted to. So what's one of these going to cost you? Like I say, if you wanted to charge it, the Litchfield kit is going to be anywhere from £5,000 to £6,000. So certainly not a cheap day out, but it does give you 100 horsepower over the standard car, which is a huge increase in performance. This has also got an external light gauge fitted here in the air vent so that you can keep an eye on your temperatures, because you are obviously putting a lot more power through that standard engine bay. But like I say, for me, this feels just right. If Matt said to me this was a standard car, I'd say perfect. If it had 100 horsepower less, I don't think it'd be for me. So the big question, would I buy one? Well, looking at it from the outside, as we've joked, it looks like a little baby LFA. It is really nice looking in the black, especially with the ride height that's been set on it now. But for me, I don't know, it's a really cool car, but it doesn't stick as a great car in my mind. Like I say, I've driven stuff that's a lot cheaper, had a lot more fun in, and really enjoyed it. But if you do like the 86 look, you've driven one, you like the feel of them, it can't be a bad move. Like I say, you're not going to get much now in terms of naturally aspirated stuff of this age and this fun, especially with a gearbox like that. I guess the real contenders are going to be something like an MX-5, S2000, but obviously a lot older, so potential issues there with rust, those that have seen my videos. But overall, I think it's a lot of car for the money, with the standard ones coming in at £10,000 plus, and then the charge ones at sort of 15,000 upwards. Certainly a lot of car for the money nowadays. So we'll slow it down here in Mexico, 3,000 RPM, second gear, foot down, waking up, 5, we're alive now, 7, yeah, really lively. It really needs another 1,000 RPM. It's such a shame that it gets to 7.5 on that limiter. It feels like once it gets to that 7.5, it just wants to keep screaming. Real shame that they can't be made to rev higher, but from what Matt's told me, it's expensive to do thousands because you need to get the engine built, so all of a sudden, just for an extra 1,000 RPM, it's not really worth it, but it would be cool if it could. So as always guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the mini review of the Litchfield SuperCharged GT86. Plenty more stuff to come still on the channel, so if you did enjoy it, please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time. And for those wondering why I look like I've been pulled through a bush backwards, I've been out in the S2000 today. I haven't got a roof on it. I don't think my hair is really built for convertible life, so I've got like all sorts of mess going on, so I do apologise. I do try and put a little bit of effort in for you guys, but a little bit of sunburn as well today.